All right. Hey, Jazz. Hey, Josh. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. What up, Lance? All right. We got Instagram. We got Facebook. It's been a long time. Been a long time. I have not been able to come live. Like every time I say I want to go live, I've been booked like crazy, okay? And I love it, right? Because it's been either coaching sessions or it's been consultations. So your girl been away from live. It's been a couple weeks. Hi, Ancho. It's been some weeks, y'all. More like a month or so. But anyway, all right, so let's talk about it. Because this is something that I was explaining to somebody else yesterday, and I was trying to get them to understand the difference between disputing and stuff that goes on with the collection agencies. Okay, so listen, okay? When you dispute, okay, so a lot of people, okay, I'm trying to figure out where to start because this topic is crazy. So listen, if you are sending dispute letters, 9 times out of 10, you are sending it directly to the credit bureaus. Let me tell you what they do. The credit bureaus have a system that they check all of your information through. It's called LexisNexis. So that's why sometimes when you're working with a credit repair company or just someone who only uses the bureaus to dispute, they're going to tell you to freeze your LexisNexis, which is completely understandable. Like, I get it. And the reason why is because you're blocking off that system that they use. When you are disputing, you are, and I think this is what people got to understand, you are only looking at the accuracy. Like, is everything reported correctly? Because the thing is, the bureaus itself, they never talk to the collection agencies. Okay, they do not reach out to the collection agency and say, hey, is this valid? Did you guys validate, like, y'all got the paperwork and everything? No, they don't do that. They check through the system, LexisNexis, to see is the name correct, is the address correct, is the amount reporting correct, is all of that correct? And if that is considered correct, then guess what? They're going to push that back out to you and say, hey, it's valid, right? It's considered valid. This is yours because it has your name, your address. So that's why sometimes they'll do the, oh, let's clean up your addresses and things first before we step into the dispute process. I'm giving y'all the ends, right? I'm letting y'all know. Now, why do I have you fix your addresses first? In most cases, is because it's called this thing called partial data matching. Where with partial data matching, if someone has a similar name or they have a similar address and all that good stuff, that stuff may end up on your report. Like, I literally was looking at someone's file and this was stuff belonged to this other person on there where, like, their name was put on her report, like, from that whole Equifax breach thing that went on. So that whole Equifax breach thing that went on, well, that stuff ended up on their actual report, right? So it was somebody with a similar name. They had the same last name and a similar first name, but it was just like a couple letters that were just different. So say, for example, y'all know my middle name is Sharice. It could be spelled one way with a C, and then it could be, spelled with an S, right? So it's stuff like that. Girl, I miss being on live, okay? I miss being on live, but your girl been booked, so I've been away from live. But we coming back. But so if it's things like that, I'm gonna want you to get that stuff corrected because I don't want what's considered partial data matching for someone else's information to end up on your file, because then at in that stage you have no control over what's going on your file. Because if, say for example, if their account accidentally got onto, like, their credit card account accidentally got onto your report and they run those things up, guess whose utilization that's going to affect? Yours, right? So that's why I have you get rid of your addresses and fix your names and make sure that you have everything where it needs to be. But in most cases, a lot of these credit repair companies are having you change that up, which is a good tactic, don't get me wrong. They have you get rid of all the addresses, and then they dispute specifically with the bureaus. But let me tell you how that game becomes an everlasting draining process of always sending letters. Always sending letters and then them kicking it back and saying, oh, you're doing fraud because you sent us 10 dispute letters. Like, it gets so nasty. So this is why I say understand the difference between working with the bureaus and when it's time to work with the collection agencies. And when I say work with the collection agencies, I don't mean call them and say, hey, this is my debt. No, I don't mean that. I mean sending off what's called validation. So here's the major difference and why I say you got to know when it's time to work with the bureaus and know when it's time to work with the collection agencies. All right, boom. If it's collections on your report, if you want to keep going through a vicious cycle of sending off letters to the bureaus, by almighty G, have fun. Have fun. Because when you send those dispute letters off to the bureaus, if they come back and they say, oh, well, the name is correct, the address is correct, the amount that's being reported, if they can look through LexisNexis and say, oh, well, all this information looks correct, so it's considered validated, they're going to say, oh, this is accurate. Because all they're looking at is to dispute, or all they're looking at is to make sure that they're reporting the accuracy. If anything looks off, then at that point, they will remove they will remove that account. And this is why I tell people. I say this is why people see results when they dispute with the bureaus, because it's something inaccurate that looks off and they know they can't keep that. But if it's an account that you're literally just trying to dispute and they come back and they say valid, that's the wrong approach. You no longer want to try to send letters off to the bureaus. That's not going to get you the results that you're looking for. You have to face the collection agencies head on with what's called validation. This is asking, because the thing is, when you write to the bureaus and they check LexisNexis, it sends a signal off to the collection agencies. This is why whenever you start your dispute process, you get the collection agencies blowing up your phone and they're like, hey, it's me trying to call you about this debt. You got to pay, right? Or they start sending you loads of letters in the mail. You got to keep those letters. You have to keep those letters and you have to face them head on. So that's what I help people do, is face things head on. So and I'm telling y'all the difference now, right? When you're writing to the collection agencies, you're asking them, hey, I need y'all to prove to me. I need y'all to prove to me that y'all are supposed to have this account. And people say, well, should I be paying collection agencies? Should I do this? Should I do that? Listen, you don't pay anybody until you know that they are responsible for having your account. I literally have said this in multiple lives. I've had clients who have paid a collection agency, right? Without validating, without asking any questions, they just started paying because, of course, they recognize the account. That same collection agency sold that account off to another place, and they end up having to pay again. This is why, look, I ain't gonna get too deep, but I just kind of want to, let y'all know what's tea. This is why we ask questions. This is why we say don't pay blindly, right? This is why we say ask questions before you even make a payment, because in more cases than not, we've been able to see client files get thrown out because they can't prove certain things. But if you start just going out paying them, you open up yourself to being, a victim of having to pay maybe once, maybe twice, or making a payment and it not coming off your report. Okay? It gets deep. So, to kind of sum it up and to kind of bring it back, to kind of make it, yes, Malik, you know, they crazy. They are crazy. I literally had someone reach out to me and was like, hey, this is an account from 2013. I paid it already. I paid it. And I'm like, oh, it's back collections? Yes, they're trying to get me to pay. We sent off that nice, beautiful validation letter and they removed that thing so quickly from her report. She did not owe them a thing. She didn't owe them a thing. She already paid, and they were trying to they thought she didn't know better. So they literally was like, oh, let's put it back on your report. And it showed as unpaid, and that dropped her score when she was in the midst of trying to do something. Thank God, quickly we got it removed. But this is what I mean. If you are tired of the continuous cycle of having to reach out to the credit bureaus every single 30 days just for them to kick back something is accurate or something is valid, that means that's not the route that you're supposed to go. There are other routes that you need to be going to figure out how to resolve these collection accounts on your file. However, solely sending off the same busted and disgusted letters to the bureaus is going to keep you disappointed. And this is why people get upset when they're like, I'm not seeing the results I'm looking to see. Well, duh. Well, not well, duh, but well, duh. That's not the way that you should be going about it. If you ever feel like there's a stagnancy, there's something that is missing, and it's time to do things a little bit different, right? There's some things that needs to be done a little bit different. So again, to bring it all back and make it all, boom. Most times when you are reaching out to the bureaus, it is to clean up addresses, and it is if you have any errors, meaning misspelled names, the amounts on the collection account may be wrong, anything that's error-based, of course, you want to send that off to the bureaus. Anytime that you're really trying to fight and get something resolved with the collection account, we're going what's considered the validation route so that, we can see results, right? You got to know when to use the credit bureaus and know when to use the collection agencies, right? Because, and there's this tactic. I made a video about this also. There's this tactic that the collection agencies are using. And because I got a lot of people on here right now, I'm telling y'all, please listen to me when I say this. If you send a letter of validation off to a collection agency and they say, oh, we have no recollection of this account, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's showing up on your report, and they say, oh, send your social, do not send your social. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please. Thank you very much. And lastly, the letters that you send off to the credit bureaus, those are signed. The things that you send off to the collection agencies are never signed. I say this all the time, and yet I've had a few people who signed them. I'm like, no! I don't really do that, but bureaus, we may sign those, right? Because sometimes you want to get those notarized and good things like that. When it comes down to the collection agencies, you do not sign those, okay? Sign, bureaus, don't sign. Validate for the collection agencies, error finding for the bureaus, okay? So I hope this is helpful. I keep seeing good info, but my computer's about to die. I gave y'all a different scenery today. I'm always in the office, and I said, I'm gonna give it a different scenery today. A little different scenery today. So yes, I see y'all miss me. I had a lot of people join me in live today. Yes, y'all missed the kid. I miss y'all too. I'll be doing a birthday sale for my birthday next week, so get your butt in the masterclass. Because the masterclass has changed also, so you definitely gonna want to take advantage of the sale next week. Okay. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'm out like Chicken Scouts.